The city of Chicago slept under a fragile coat of frost, its streets glimmering with ice that reflected the occasional neon sign or the flashing red of distant fire trucks. Marcus Taylor's lungs burned with each ragged breath, but adrenaline had him moving even as his body screamed in protest. Smoke and ash clung to his hair, his face, and his uniform, streaking him in blackened lines like war paint. In his arms, the little girl clutched a tattered stuffed rabbit, her wide eyes darting nervously from one edge of the rooftop to another. Elena's hand was locked around his own, unshakable even after the inferno had singed their skin and scorched their courage. For a moment, they simply existed there, suspended above the city, wrapped in exhaustion and survival. The fire had ended, but it left a residue of dread that settled deep in Marcus's chest. Something about the blaze felt deliberate. The way it had raged, the pinpoint targeting of the 18th floor, it wasn't random. Someone had wanted this destruction. Someone had wanted him to fail. The medics approached first for the little girl. She shivered violently in a blanket, soot-streaked and exhausted, but alive. Marcus gently handed her over, kneeling as he adjusted her scarf and whispered small comforts, though she barely registered his words. Elena finally sank to the rooftop in a heap, coughing and trying to regain some semblance of normal breathing. Marcus's leg throbbed sharply, a persistent reminder of the beam that had nearly crushed him. He surveyed the streets below. Most of the chaos had already been subdued. Fire engines hissed, hoses sprayed torrents of water, and uniformed firefighters guided residents to safety. Yet Marcus's instinct screamed that the danger wasn't gone. It had only shifted. That sudden, icy feeling crawling up his spine told him someone had been watching, maybe orchestrating this night from the shadows. Then he saw it. Across the street, barely visible through the smoke and flashing lights, a solitary figure lingered. Calm, still, watching. Impossible to identify from this distance, but the posture, eerily deliberate, set Marcus's teeth on edge. "They're still here," he muttered under his breath, more to himself than anyone else. Elena's eyes widened, her fear palpable as she looked at him. "Who? What do you mean?" Marcus didn't answer. He could feel the tension in the air, the fragile quiet that always comes just before something terrible. The fire had been violent, unpredictable, deadly, but this was methodical. Someone had planned it, and he had the distinct feeling that tonight was just the opening move. The wind shifted, carrying faint but unmistakable sounds. Footsteps, muffled voices, a metallic clang that echoed in the empty streets like a sinister warning. Marcus helped Elena to her feet, keeping her close. The little girl instinctively gripped his jacket, clinging to safety and protection as if she knew danger had not yet passed. "Stay close," he whispered, his voice hoarse. "We're not safe yet." Below them, the city's chaos was slowly being corralled into order. Sirens faded, neighbors were guided away, and fire hoses hissed like water dragons. But Marcus could feel the tension crawling up his spine like ice-cold fingers. That fire wasn't just a disaster. It was a message. Someone had wanted to see fear, wanted to test limits, wanted to push him. To push them. Elena looked up at him, soot streaked across her face. Her lips cracked, her eyes still burning with adrenaline and fear. "Marcus, why does this feel like it's not over?" He swallowed hard. "Because it's not." The memory of the inferno played again in his mind. The floor groaning beneath them, debris raining down like deadly hail, the heat so intense it burned through clothing and into their very bones. He remembered the split-second decisions, the kicks, the pulls, the risk of losing everything in a heartbeat. Every action had been a gamble, and yet they had survived. Somehow. And yet, Marcus knew survival was only the beginning. Love had been forged in fire tonight. Trust had been tested and proven unbreakable. But even as he looked at Elena, battered, raw, and alive, he understood that the danger had only begun to shadow their lives. Somewhere in the smoke, in the shadows below, the threat remained. Watching, waiting, and Marcus Taylor knew one thing with absolute certainty. No matter what comes next, he could not leave her side. The rooftop was quiet again, but it was a fragile, temporary silence. Beneath it lay questions that demanded answers. Who had set the fire? Why target that floor? Why risk his life, Elena's, and the little girl's? And the most pressing question of all, what would they be forced to sacrifice next to survive? The city slept, oblivious, but Marcus and Elena remained alert. A small trio bound together by fire, fear, and unspoken vows. Tonight they had survived, but tomorrow the shadows might demand a far greater price. And Marcus, despite the exhaustion and pain, knew he would meet it head-on, because some promises are worth burning for.